And another piece of good news I want to share with you today is I'll be introducing our amazing guests, and I spent some time with Louise Morecambe on Friday. Our guests are from Swindon Homeless Volunteers, and they are absolutely amazing with regards to the way that they spend their time volunteering their time to support our homeless community and sharing some goodwill and bringing some so many things to our homeless community. And we're going to be hearing from them in a moment. And I always like to play a song to introduce our guests, and I had to think about what song would really I suppose highlight what our what Swindon Homeless Volunteers do. And right now we're going to be listening to "Can You Feel It" by the Jacksons, and I love this song because it's all about people coming together, helping each other, and I can see Sue in the corner already having a bit of a bop. She's laughing at me. So without further ado, guys, here's "Can You Feel It." Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Was the Jacksons with "Can You Feel It?" And I love that song because it's all about people coming together, spreading goodwill, and that's exactly what Louise, Phil and Sue do with Swindon Homeless Volunteers. Welcome Louise and welcome Sue.
Hi.
Oh, it's really brilliant to have you on the Good News Show. And I know we spent some time together, Louise, on Friday, walking around, meeting one of your clients, one of the people that you help, one of the people you support, and just talking to you in the break and talking about what Phil and Sue do, who first said, oh, we don't do very much, and then just hearing what you do is absolutely phenomenal. Can you tell me a little bit about Swindon Homeless Volunteers and how you started and when you started?
Yeah, about 3 months ago, myself, Charmaine and Emma decided to do something bigger in Swindon. And we put together a group thinking it would have a few hundred members. It turned into 5,500 members in the space of 3 months. We thought we'd start doing night walks, providing essentials and food to our Swindon homeless on the streets from 8 o'clock until 12 o'clock every 3 days a week. But it turned into a lot more than that, and everybody seemed to get involved, and it's just gone massive.
I think that's absolutely phenomenal, and it says so much about the Swindon community and this feeling of goodwill and people wanting to come together to support everybody in the community. Is that what you're finding, Louise?
Yeah, I found that it started with 10 people in the group. It's 5,500, and you might think that 5,500 people don't get involved, but we've looked at the statistics and it's 4,000 active members.
And by active, that's amazing. And by active members, there's so much to it as well. Can you tell us a little bit about it? And also, I'll be moving over to Sue in a moment, but tell us a little bit about what it involves for you.
Oh, it involves everything. It involves people getting involved doing drives. It involves pubs opening for us to give our homeless shelter in bad weather. It involves people that does cooking rotas, cooking, collections, donations. It's just basically everything, and every little thing comes together, and it creates just something massive, and it's such a difference to Swindon.
And how has that impacted the lives of the homeless community within Swindon itself, would you say?
We've spoke to Swindon's community police, who have told us that the crime rate has gone down statistically. They actually thanked us in person, stopped us on one of our walks and told us that our homeless people are so much happier, they're so much confident, they're coming out of their tents, they're coming to talk to us, they're ringing us, they're texting us, they're coming to meet us. And we're not just helping homeless people anymore, they've turned into friends, and we have really good bonds and relationships with them.
Do you know, I've got a tear in my eye, actually.
You know who I'm talking about.
I do know who you're talking about. And we're going to be hearing from one of your Stu, who I met on Friday. I was so blown away by just Stu himself, but also the work that you do, because it is more than just giving the basics for survival and to get through the cold weather as we have now. It's so much more than that. And to see the warmth and real care that he showed toward you, there's more that comes from it. I was reading... I actually saw it on the internet yesterday. There's a recent study that's been done, and I know that we have there's a real drive on loneliness and how that impacts people's lives. And one of the things was a study that was done over 7 years found that the main reason for people to live a longer life was not about health and exercise. It was about that connection, those close relationships, and that social integration. So what you bring to the fact that you've had the community police say to you that you have helped to reduce the crime rate and people within the homeless community are feeling happier is such an amazing outcome to have occurred. And I know that Sue, Louise, what would you say? If you'd like to introduce Sue and what she does as well, and then Sue, if you can share what it is, all the things that you were telling me about that you did yesterday during the snow.
So Sue Evans, she likes to say she's behind the scenes. But without Sue, we wouldn't have a job, we wouldn't be on the streets. Sue manages the whole cooking rotas, she manages all the messages, she manages the group, she's at all our meeting points, and she does a massive amount behind the scenes, and she just doesn't realise how much she does. Without her and all her arrangements, all her messages and what she does, she's even got a garage full of donations still.
So Sue, tell us a little bit about the work that you're doing, which sounds to me very much not behind the scenes, but you sound to be the you galvanise everybody and do all the practical logistics of it. Is that right?
Yeah, well, we do 3 walks a week, 3 night walks a week. So obviously we take hot food out to all our homeless friends. So I organise one of the jobs I do is organising the food rota. But again, it's quite an easy job in some ways, because as soon as I put out a call for people to cook, they're there. I put out a call one day and I probably got at least half a dozen people that come back and say, we'll do it. But it's just coordinating it all, ensuring obviously the food's ready in time to be delivered. Most people will deliver it. Occasionally we have to go and pick it up, but that's not too much of a problem. And I mean, just for example, yesterday, the lovely lady who was cooking, she lived on the outskirts, and she contacted me quite early yesterday morning and said, there's no way I'm going to better get my car into Swindon town centre. So then it was a case of, right, put out an SOS on our Facebook page, and within minutes, I had private messages coming through saying, I'll do it. So then it was just a case of coordinating who was actually going to take over and provide the food last night. The lady who'd already cooked for yesterday, so I jigged her around until Wednesday, moved Wednesdays, It was just coordinating it all. But to show how it goes, April's full. April rota is full. April rota's been full for weeks, and I've already got people asking me when the May rota's coming out.
That's absolutely, it's incredible, isn't it? How is it? Do you find that it's brought the community of Swindon together in a way that hasn't happened before?
Oh, absolutely, definitely, because you've got people that are communicating between themselves as well. I mean, we've got a lovely lady, Jane, who stores a lot of the food that we get donated. So once somebody said that they'll cook, I'll put them in contact with Jane to see. Obviously, it depends what they've decided they're going to cook, so they'll contact Jane to see if she's got the ingredients. But even if she hasn't, 9 times out of 10, people are quite happy to provide the food themselves, And we've actually doubled the rota now, whereby at one time it was just like a main course, but now we have a mains rota and a puddings rota. So all these lovely people are actually treating our friends as well.
Oh, that's really amazing. And Louise, one of the things that I wanted to ask you, you talked about the crime rate actually going down. What other positive outcomes have happened as a result of your support and the support that you give as well?
When we met some of the people a few months ago when we started the group, it would get to the point where they was in their tents and they wouldn't come out of their alleyways, they wouldn't come out of their car parks. It took us a few months to build relationships with these people. At first, we wouldn't get more than 2 words from them. Some more didn't even reply to us. But now they're coming out of their tents, they're coming to our meeting point, and, you know, they're turning up, they know us by name, we know them by name, we know their stories, and most importantly, they know our stories, so they know that we're not just there to help them, we're not there for ego boosts, we're there as their friends, and they mean a lot to us.
And do you feel that encourages them to take the next step?
It definitely does. We had a guy, we found him freezing on the streets one night, and he'd been sat there for a few hours, and we set him up a tent and we talked to him for days and days and days, and in the end he listened to what we said and he went to every single meeting that was provided for him by himself with his own courage. He got into rehab and he's now like 3 weeks sober and he is doing amazing.
Oh my goodness, that it's just incredible. It's incredible with that friendship and that trust that you are building, that this is turning people's lives around and it's giving them a road back to themselves in so many ways. I don't think I'm going to get through this programme without tears, actually, because you are incredible. And I know that you, we're going to have a little bit of a musical break. And I know that you chose a particular song called Hero by Mariah Carey. Can you share why you chose that particular song?
Yeah, it's basically, I'm going to dedicate it to someone special, and his name is Paul, and he is the reason we started the group.
So tell us a little bit more about Paul.
I can't go into too much details because of data protection, but he's very special to us. He's one of the first people we met on the streets, and he thinks that we're the ones that help him, but without him we wouldn't have made this group, and I wouldn't have made all the friends that I've made. He has literally saved my life and he just doesn't realise it.
That is absolutely wonderful. So without further ado, guys, here's Hero by Mariah. And that was Hero by Mariah Carey. And if you've just tuned in, this is The Good News Show. I'm Naz Aston. I'm here with Anne Perrin and also with Louise, Phil and Sue from Swindon Homeless Volunteers. And we were just having a chat in the break, Anne, weren't we? And we were talking about receiving.
Yes, we were. We were talking about receiving and getting pleasure from receiving, and getting pleasure from things that you are actually giving to these people, and they trust you. It's amazing. It really is amazing.
And we were talking with Louise, and we were talking with Sue, and we're going to be talking with Phil in a moment as well. But first of all, Sue and Louise, you were both sharing about how much you have received from this project, from this initiative. Let's share a little bit more about it with us.
Well, I think what I've received from it is I was retired, and in the early years of my retirement, my grandchildren were younger. They're all at school now, and I was finding I wasn't needed quite as much as I was. And so when I first joined the group, it was basically the answer to my prayers. It was something to get involved in. And I think when we were discussing it just now, we're almost getting as much back, if not more, than what we actually give.
Was that the same for you as well, Louise?
Yeah, I'm 34 years old. I'm married. I have 4 children. You know, I'm a daughter. I was a sister. I was everything, but the one thing in life I wasn't was a friend. I had my children before I was 21. So I moved through life watching my friends all move along, and, you know, I left them at school, and now I can actually sit there and I have loads and loads of friends. It's just amazing.
It is amazing. It's amazing. 5,000 to be exact. Is that right? 5,000 or so friends?
I'd say 5,000 supporters. I'd say about 10 very close friends, and those people know who they are. I talk to them every day.
Fantastic. And Phil, I know that you're also part of Swindon Homeless Volunteers, and what's your role within the group?
I really haven't got a specific role. I help out wherever I can. I've been homeless myself for quite a long time. I've managed to get into a flat through help of other societies, and I wanted to give back. So wherever I'm needed, I will try and help out.
Now, I hear that you are out on every single walk. Is that right, ladies?
Yeah, definitely. Every SOS call, every walk. You know, if I ring him at 3 a.m. and say we've got an SOS call, he is literally out of bed within 2 minutes, and he is in the snow, driving us around Swindon, trying to find people that need our help. Phil's just incredible, and he don't give himself enough acknowledgement.
And the fact is that you've also turned your life around, Phil, haven't you? You're now in accommodation, and you're volunteering your time, as you said, to give back, and that sounds like an amazing gift that you are giving to others. And just going back to Friday, when I went out and I met Louise and I met Charmaine, another member. We went to see Stu, didn't we, Louise? And really incredible young man who has so much talent and so much to give. So I'm going to play an interview that we did with Stu.
Yeah, well, I've been on the streets living in a car park for a while, and the guys from the Swindon Homeless Volunteers have just been like, they deserve a lot of recognition for what they do, because they come around, they give it their own time to come around and like help people like us that haven't got anything, that are struggling, and it's like they bring food, make sure we get a hot meal every night that they can get out, make sure you've always got like a sleeping bag, changing clothes, toiletries, hand warmers, everything you could think of, you could need, like, do you know what I mean, to try and make your life comfortable and like actually you can survive in that. Like, yeah, they support you by just being there as well. Just probably they're just good people. They're nice to you. Do you know what I mean? They cheer you up when they come, because they're all nice. It's banging. It's wicked. They're really good people.
And I hear you're also quite talented yourself. Number one, you love reading, don't you?
I like to read, yeah. I don't know if that's a talent or not.
What are you reading at the moment?
Reading Game of Thrones, the fourth one. I got right into it, get through them pretty quick.
That's fantastic.
Can't put them down. Yeah.
And I also hear you're an artist. Can you tell us a little bit about your art?
Well, I like drawing pictures for friends and that. Used to do a lot of graffiti. I just like, drawing in general. I always have to have a pen and paper, and always have to have a book. As long as I've got that, I'm all right.
That's fantastic. Stu, thank you so much for your time.
No worries, thank you.
And really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us.
Thank you.
And that was my interview with Stu, and it was really lovely just to meet Stu and listen to him share his story. There's also something else that is amazingly special about Stu, and Louise, you're going to share that with us. It's his other friend, Sid, I believe.
Yeah, we've all got cats and dogs, and we've got pets in our houses. Obviously, Stu's homeless, and, you know, Stu's got pet pigeons. He's got Sid, Nancy, and they have had a baby recently called Bangin'. And Stu loves these pigeons. He's watched them hatch. They sleep with him. He feeds them every day. And some ladies on our group have recently donated some bird seeds, so Stu is now able to give them bird seeds. A lot of the people on the street see them as flying rats, but Stu sees them as his cat or dog, what we'd normally have in our homes, and he loves them, and their relationship is just incredible, and it's amazing to watch.
That's really, really special. And one of the things that I feel that we often assume things about people who are homeless and we forget they are like you and I, don't we, Louise? They have feelings, they have dreams, they have talents, and that need for connection as well is just as you and I would have. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, definitely. We've got guys that ask us for pens and paper and pencils, and they will sit there and draw whole portraits. And these portraits, you know, I've seen worse in museums. They're so incredibly talented, and the stuff they provide, it's got to the point where one of our guys is going to start drawing us portraits of other homeless people we can auction on our group, and the proceeds will get them hotel rooms and off the streets. It's just, they're not just beggars, they don't just sit there. That's what they do during the day, but during the night, when they're in their own space, they're in their own little places where they sleep. That's where we really, truly, get to know them as people, and they open up to us. And that's what you guys really need to learn for yourselves.
That's really wonderful. And I know that I spoke to Stu and asked him, if there was a song that we could play for you, what would it be? And one of the songs that he finds uplifting is called Unfinished Symphony by Massive Attack. So, Stu, this one's for you. So that was Unfinished Symphony even by Massive Attack. And I know, Anne, that you had a number of questions that you wanted to ask as well.
Yes, just a couple of questions. While I've been listening to the interview, you've said that you refer to the homeless people as guys. Is there more male homeless than what there are female? And what kind of ages are they?
We just call them the guys. There is more males than females, but it's just an expression we use because they're friends.
Yeah.
The ages, I'd say the youngest we've found is 18. The oldest we have found is 58.
Wow.
Yeah, there's more males than females, but last night we found 7 females on our streets.
As a female myself, I just can't imagine how they cope with being a female and living on the streets. I just can't imagine it.
Thank you so much, Anne, and thank you so much, Louise. Louise, if people want to get involved, and how can they go about doing that?
The first thing would be to join our Facebook group, Swindon Homeless Volunteers. We also have a Facebook page, again, Swindon Homeless Volunteers. We have a website that can be found on the group. Ways people can get involved is, offering to come on our walks. We do them 3 days a week, offering to cook on our food rotas, providing essentials and donations. Nothing is ever too small. Even a tin of soup is just incredible. Just opening their eyes and seeing them differently, and raising awareness. Just even a Facebook share is just incredible.
That's really brilliant, thank you. And Sue, I know that they organise the rotas, as you organise the rotas, so if people want to cook and offer food, they can come to you. And we are more than halfway through the show. We've got about 15 minutes left, and after Stronger by Kelly Clarkson, I'll be sharing some good reads with you. It's one of the books that Stu now has, and it really transformed my life, so I'd like to share it as part of our book review. And we'll also be giving you a quote for the day after Stronger by Kelly Clarkson. And that was Stronger by Kelly Clarkson. We're all having a bit of a bop in the studio, and we're on the last stages of the show, and we're going to be looking at our book review. So on Friday there was a particular book that I passed on to Stu because I know that he loves to read, and it's called Practical Enlightenment by Ariel and Shia Kane, and it's one of those books that really transformed my life and helped me to move forward and access well-being, access fun, and really helped me to de-stress. And so in Practical Enlightenment by Aaron Shire Kane, it's a really refreshing approach to this idea of enlightenment. It isn't a mystical state that requires years of effort to achieve. It's a practical lifestyle that you can have right now. You can live life without worry, stress or anxiety. It's a way of living where you can release your past, and it helps you to bring you to the present and learn to experience your life in the present moment rather than thinking about the past and having that dominate your life. You think about the present, and it's just been one of those books that has really helped me, and I know helped a lot of people. And one of the things I wanted to share also is a quote of the day. Each week we're going to have a quote of the Good News Show, and because of our fantastic guests, Sue, Phil and Louise from Swindon Homeless Volunteers, here's the quote of the day. Again, it's from Ariel and Shire Kane. When you invest in a community, you realise you make a difference. You matter, and this supports you in being your true self. And I have to say, having done a lot of volunteering over the years, it certainly holds true to me, and I really hope it does for you too. And it does. You investing in a community, and it grows. So that's our quote of the day. When you invest in a community, you realise you make a difference. You matter, and this supports you in being your true self. When we make it about others and not ourselves, I think it's this giving and receiving, Sue, that you were talking about. So, moving on from there, we are rapidly coming up to the end of the show. We have our next section of the show. We always include a poem from local writers, or short story. This is a short poem from Linda O'Leary from the Leiden Writers Group, and it's called The Bond. Have a listen.
The Pond, a poem by Linda O'Leary. Standing in my favourite place, the winter air is cold, but I'm not bothered when I see its beauty all unfold. The egret high upon a tree, waiting for his dish, the heron stands so quite below, and stills the silver fish. Snowflakes fall like angels' kisses, landing on my face. My heart, it rises up so high, and to another place. Looking down, I see the feathers lying on the ground. I know they're all around me. I feel so safe and sound. The birds, they sing his praises. Are we still unaware that God is always there for us? He'll always have a care.
And that was The Pond by Linda O'Leary. And I just wanted to take the last less than 10 minutes of the show just to say thank you so much, Louise and Phil and Sue, for being on the show with us. I hope you've I've hoped you've enjoyed it.
Well, thank you so much, Naz, and thank you for coming with us to meet our friend the other day.
Oh, it was my absolute pleasure. Really, really was. And I think, do you find that people sometimes get a little bit afraid of meeting people who are...
Yeah, their first impressions are always, scary, and but don't look at the clothes, look at the person inside the clothes, and that's the biggest thing I can really say. That's really amazing. Have you found that as well, Sue? That has it changed your do you feel that your views have changed a lot, or were you always very much of people are people?
No, definitely changed. I think I will hold my hand up and say at one time I'm very ashamed of myself that if I was in town and I would walk by somebody looking straight ahead and not acknowledging them at all. But now I don't go into town very often, but if I do, I will always stop and speak to them, ask them if they need anything. But I think what struck me is one of the most important things is they like to be spoken to. Just, I would say to anyone, don't walk by them looking ahead. Always stop, even if it's just a hello, how are you?
And how much does that kind word, Phil, that recognition mean?
For the people on the streets, I think it's acknowledgement that they are people. I know when I was homeless, we didn't have groups like Swindon Homeless Volunteers, and people would just walk past, and feel like you weren't a citizen. But but now it's, we go out, we talk to them, and they feel more part of the community.
Thank you so much, and thank you all to my guests. Thank you for listening in. Next up will be the musical lunch break with Vic. Anne, thank you so much.
Goodbye all, see you next week.
And we'll see you next week. We, with some great guests on next week. And take care.